Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Wake Up Missoula. I am your host, Scott Ramp, and I'm here to tell you about all the wonderful things that are happening in and around Missoula and beyond. So let's kick things off with a little bit of weather. I got a new Dubbin Stuff later today. I got an interview with Susan Campbell Reneau talking about 9/11 memorial services happening next Tuesday on September 11th. So, currently, it is 46 degrees outside. Your high is going to be 84. Your low is going to be 52. Expect those to pretty much stay throughout this whole entire week. Saturday is going to be partly sunny, so all the nice days are happening this week, while your weekend may look a little colder, but of course your high is going to be 75. So if you guys are planning on wearing a sweater, it's nice, easy, light hoodie sweater weather happening on Saturday. Maybe Saturday night would be a good chance to go out and about. So I'll have more about your weekend forecast as we go into Friday's show. So let's talk about some news that are happening in and around. So of course, construction has hit the fall term as we get closer to the winter months of planning and finishing what we can in the city of Missoula. But many of the work has been done for Americans with Disabilities Act. So Missouola is replacing curbs with more accessible ones. Updates include new reformed curb ramps, a wider sidewalk openings at intersections. According to project managers, all of these improvements mean that commuters on foot, users with limited mobility, and users with strollers, walkers, and other wheelie devices will be able to use the sidewalk approaches with more ease, which includes some of those studded curbs to help you get up and over onto the sidewalk as well. In state news, so far the biggest thing happening in Montana is Trump's second visit to Billings, Montana tomorrow at the Metro Park. Trump has visited various red states in the mid to west areas to make Montana red inside and out. Rosendale, who has worked to tie himself to Trump as tightly as possible, is enthusiastically welcoming the president. Rosendale's last two campaign ads were almost entirely clips from Trump's Great Falls rally, in which Rosendale barely talks. Tester spokesman Chris Meager said last week the second Trump visit won't change anything from the first. Democrats are expected to do well nationally, riding the so-called blue wave, cresting in response to Trump's election and tenure in office. There is a lot of bad blood between Trump and Tester since John Tester accused VA nominee Rear Admiral Ronnie Jackson drank on the job and improperly dispensed prescriptions, causing withdrawal from consideration and sparking Pentagon investigations. Trump will spend 40 days on the road campaigning for Republican swing states and possible other places along the way. There is still a chance that Trump could still visit Montana a third time leading up to the November election. In national news, we're still talking about Trump, sorry. Here in the Supreme Court, I don't know. Some of you might like Trump. Some of you don't. Great. Now I just kind of not bipartisan, but anyways, this is about the nominee for Supreme Court nominee Judge Brett Kavanaugh has met with protest, with many officials saying that the Supreme Court would be at a 5-4 conservative majority. Many Democrats complained that the Trump administration blocked the release of more than 100,000 pages of documents detailing Kavanaugh's service in the George W. Bush White House. Other documents were released at the last minute or not at all, including documents from 2003 to 2006 when Kavanaugh served as Bush staff secretary. And this is about the time when they did Guantanamo Bay and all some of those things. And even the last judge that was appointed to the Supreme Court also had similar leanings as well. Republicans brushed aside complaints that Kavanaugh was too partisan and accused Democrats of using stalling tactics. And of course, they do in a confirmation, and there's a lot of questions being asked and a lot of speeches during the Tuesday hearing. Today, a lot of them say that they want to get down to business, ask questions, do a back and forth. So Kavanaugh assured that he had not been involved with the White House discussions of torture or treatment of enemy combatants. NPR and the Washington Post later reported that Kavanaugh was involved in those discussions, offering counsel on how these politics might be judged by the Supreme Court. But the biggest issue happened outside the hearing, with protesters interrupting the hearing. Some say Trump chose Kavanaugh because he would go light on any impeachable offenses that the president has been nothing but speculative during the Robert Mueller's investigation. Right now, mcat.iorg and possibly a whole bunch of other places as well are showing it. So I'm going to show you a little clip of this just to kind of show where we're at.
Consumer commended her for, quote, hewing carefully to the text of statutes, even when doing so results in rulings that go against so-called sympathetic litigants, unquote. Do you believe that it's important for a judge to interpret and apply the laws that Congress has actually passed, rather than seeking to make up or change the law if the judge doesn't like what the Congress has done? And if so, why or why not?
I agree completely, Senator. That's at the foundation of what I view as the proper judicial philosophy.
Okay.
The separation of powers system you described, we have to stick to the laws passed by Congress. You make the policy, we'll follow the policy direction that you put into the laws that are enacted, passed by the House and Senate, signed by the President.
All right, so
we don't rewrite those laws. The executive.
All right, so that was Brett Kavanaugh. He's speaking. That's actually live. So you guys can watch this. This hearing will pretty much be going on pretty much all day today. Maybe they'll have another third day doing it. It seems pretty likely that this will be ongoing as well. And you can watch that pretty much anywhere you look up Brett Kavanaugh. And they'll be live streaming YouTube, pretty much everything. And speaking of YouTube, I just want to kind of change gears. There's a new release by Childish Gambino. He's the one that wrote the popular song "This Is America." So far, he made a more recent music video called "Feels Like Summer," which has already reached. Let me just double check, because as of 2 days, it was 17 million views. So as of right now, it looks like it's at 18 million views, and I suggest you check it out because it basically is an animated stroll through a black neighborhood, and it shows all the iconic black people who have influenced American society. So you guys can check it out anytime. All you got to go is to go to YouTube and look up Childish Gambino. I definitely suggest it. It's a very good song, and it's very appropriate for all ages. So anyways, let's talk about some new programs. So we have a couple new programs that are going to be airing on MCAT. These are cool. A lot of great programs. We got Tell Us Something. We got... let's see, we got The Rivers Will Run, which is the Wilderness Issues Lecture Series, which is pretty much our titular poster child when it comes to media assistant grants. And we also have Missouola Out and About with Joel Baird. And without further ado, I'll let you guys see what you guys can expect for the new videos these next couple days. So when I come back, I'm going to talk about some city council stuff.
The Elks bought the land here and the land of the hotel next door for $5,000 from Mrs. Bonner. And
of Bonner Milltown fame.
Right,
we were
exactly.
just up at the Bonner Milltown History Center a couple of months ago.
And then in 1910, 1911, they built this building for $50,000. And then in the late 40s, it was remodeled, a major remodel.
Yeah. The Elks was started as a benevolent order in the 19th century, in 1800
Benevolent
something?
and Protective Order of Elks, and it was started in 1865 in New York City.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. It sounds like it was right around the time of the end of the Civil War, too.
Right, right. And then this lodge was chartered in 1897.
Can you guess which ones are wild and scenic? This is one. Anybody? Say it a little louder.
Middle Fork of the Flathead.
Thank you very much. Good work. And those gentlemen up there in the corner, does anyone remember from previous presentations on who those guys might be? Perfect. So the Craigheads were basically responsible for the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act, or at least in terms of building the foundation and the language that went into that enabling legislation. They were grizzly bear biologists, and they were studying here in Montana, and specifically in the Flathead Valley. Very important grizzly bear habitat corridor, and they realized that a proposed dam there would impound thousands of acres of important grizzly bear habitat.
And so immediately after some of the Me Too campaigns that happened on Facebook, if people remember that, it was started by Tarana Burke, who had done some work, has been doing work, I think, for 20 plus years around generating awareness around rape culture and around survivor issues and ways for women to survive from experiences of sexual assault. Immediately after the Me Too campaign took off, 20 years later, right, It generated a lot of discussions at dinner tables, on social media, in people's offices. I went to Ace Hardware and overheard a conversation about it while I was buying something for my daughter. And while it seems patently true that we can all stand in solidarity with those who say Me Too, in fact, it's hard to find a woman who has not experienced harassment. It's hard to find a woman who has not known or been a victim of rape. I don't think it's possible, at least it was not in my social world, to discuss this with anybody who did not have a fairly close degree of connection to the issue, either for themselves or people they love.
You look like you need to come back here and party with us. And well, I did. I let them buy me a couple gin and tonics on the way to Miami. Sorry, Dad, I left him, sorry. It turns out that this group was with Burning Spear. And Burning Spear was sitting kitty corner to me over there. And of course, it was a nice time. And besides the flight from Miami to Houston, where we had to dump all the fuel over the Gulf and turn around and make an emergency landing, the rest of the journey was pretty much uneventful. When I got home to California, I gave this gift that I had risked so much for to my narcissistic borderline personality drummer boyfriend, who let me know that it was the shittiest pot he ever smoked.
Hi, Susan.
Hello.
This is Susan Reneau. Susan Campbell Reneau. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
And you doing our Never Forget service on September 11th, which is next Tuesday. And you're here joining us to talk a little bit more about this, about how Missouola is working on this, doing this memorial.
Yes, we are actually, other than the Pentagon, New York City, and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, as far as I know, we're the only community outside of those three big areas that do a full-blown service. And we've been doing it for 17 years, believe it or not.
I can't believe it's
You were
already
a
been
little, you were a little
I
kid.
remember it because I was in middle school, I was in 6th grade,
Yep.
and there was a bunch of old giant screen televisions running CNN.
You were just stunned.
Oh.
I mean, it's seared into all of our memories. And I actually was ready to board an airplane because I had a new book out and my publisher was sending me to Denver and my husband was frantically shaving and I flipped on the Today Show and an airplane was going into the Twin Towers and I went, whoa.
Right?
Whoa. So
yeah, it's something that has really impacted American society from then on, because even like before 2001, everything was like
casual.
Everything was very casual. We weren't in any major war, no conflicts. The last conflict at that time was Desert Storm, which was actually a continuation.
Yeah, and our life changed dramatically. I mean, you could exchange your, if you had a plane ticket and you decided you didn't want to go, you could hand your plane ticket to someone else and they could go on the plane on your behalf. I mean, everything was different. So the service on September 11th is at 7 p.m. It is at Rose Memorial Park. We wanted it at 7 a.m., but that's too early in the morning. And we are going to have the Celtic Dragon Pipe Band playing their beautiful bagpipes. We're going to have the American Legion Post 27 with their color guard. We're going to have the VFW with their 21-gun salute. We're going to have the Knights of Columbus. We're going to have the ROTC, University of Montana color guard. We're going to be having the Civil Air Patrol. And they're going to all be in a procession. And we hope that we'll have representatives from the police department and the fire departments, because in addition to destroying the Twin Towers and killing almost 3,000 people, it also killed almost 400 firefighters and EMTs that day. Because, as you remember, While everybody else was running away, the firefighters and the police were running in
The
building.
the
I get chills.
343.
Yeah, it gives me chills to this day. Whenever I fly, I always wear red, white, and blue in honor of the airplanes. The airline industry almost single-handedly was destroyed, and I always wear red, white, and blue in honor of the flights that were destroyed that day.
Yeah.
It was just an unbelievable day.
It had a very large impact that sent shockwaves through
Yes.
history, basically. Even
Yes.
like how we view modern day now is heavily influenced from September 11th.
And your generation, more than any other, has sacrificed tremendously, because your generation stepped up to the plate and really has served. And we have a volunteer army and military that has gone to war and is still in war. I mean, we're still dealing with, 17 years of war. So it's terrible.
And a note to know as well is, like, I've talked to some military personnel, is that the military has had to turn people away because there's so much support and so much people enrolling into the military.
Well, and this bell is actually a school bell that belonged to my father-in-law, who loved to ring it, and so we do this bell in honor of him, but we also ring it at the end of the service while we play Amazing Grace, and we do the playing of taps, and then as our honor and color guards walk off from the Vietnam Memorial back to the Korean Memorial, we toll the bell. And it is a very it's a very moving service, and we have a firefighter, Tom Ziegler, who was personal friends with many of the men that died in the collapse of the Twin Towers, and he reads their names. And we just really hope that on September 11th we will never forget, because it changed our lives. Even if you don't go to the service, I hope that people will remember that day and just look up in the sky and remember those people that were killed.
Well, thank you, Susan. And once again, the event starts Tuesday night.
Yes.
And it goes from 7 to 8 p.m.
It does, and the Exchange Club is donating thousands of American flags, which we will place in the ground prior to the service. So if you get to Rose Park a little bit early, you will see thousands of flags in the ground, and then at the end of the service, we pick them up. It's very beautiful.
Well, thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Hey guys, welcome back. Now it's time for some city council, but I don't have any clips for you guys. This is some of the stuff that are happening during the committee meeting today. I just want to dive right into it. The public safety and health, they're looking at continuing on the, hey, where's my car being towed situation. So a lot of ways is that the city is purchasing basically more like renting an area to respond to towing companies' interest in entering into an agreement that basically says, hey, if nobody picks up their car, what are we supposed to do with them? So the city's like, hey, let's do this. So they're going to be talking about what they're going to do with the excess amount of cars that are never picked up when they get towed. And they'll be talking about this during Public Safety and Health. I think they must have already talked about it, but I'm going to give a little report on it on Friday. So the city funds, they're looking at a 2-year contract, which will total $20,000 a year. Of course, this is something that they talked about, I think it was 2 months ago, and they're going to continue talking about it today as well. Public Works, Hickory Street to McCormick Park, is a capital improvement project to upgrade Craig Lane, which is basically that lane that goes through Silver Park, and there's new apartments that are being built, Polly's Place as they're called, and next to the Osprey baseball field. So they're going to be talking about improving the street. They're putting up to certain standards, sidewalks and all that stuff. They're creating a new major point of transportation that basically connects Russell to Orange Street on that as well. So you can look out for that happening during the Public Works Committee meeting starting at 9:25 a.m. Admin and Finance, almost right after, a municipal court requires that the use of an audiovisual presentation system in each of the courtrooms and audio recorder systems in the judges' chambers. So back in 2005 to present, most of their equipment has had a 5-year life expectancy of the audiovisual technology, and this is basically to be able to Skype in inmates to talk during their hearings and that kind of thing, and also have mic systems so everyone can hear easily within the system as well. The individual system does not function properly when new technology is introduced to replace failed components. The proposal is within budget of $158,269. Part of the budget passing last City Council meeting on August 27th, business improvement districts are being looked at for possible cuts or anything like that. So the whole idea is they're trying to figure out, the City of Missoula, they're trying to defray the costs identified with the work plan and budget. If the City Council adopts the resolution to levy the final assessment, property owners will see the assessment on their property tax bills in November and May. So any changes that they do during this meeting, and this is not to be confused with tax increment financing, but this is the business improvement districts, which was passed many years ago through many business owners who want to improve their areas and their district, and to create a district for businesses to come down. So historic preservation, I think this is pretty interesting. They're going to be doing a Fort Missoula update, so you get to learn about what's happening with the Fort Missoula Regional Park, and then of course downtown project presentation. So if you're interested in finding out what's happening in the downtown Missoula area, you can go to the Historic Preservation Committee meeting Thursday night at 7 p.m. But that about does it for all your City Council needs. If you are interested in finding out more about your City Council, you can go to their website, ci.missoula.mt.us. The perfect place to find permits, and if you have a complaint about a pothole, this is the place to do it. If you're interested in finding out more about my morning show, you can go to wakeupmissoula.wixsite.com/wakeupmissoula. So nice, we made you write it out twice with the Wix site in the middle. It is a good place to find everything about my show, Wake Up Missoula. You can also use the Google to find me. mcat.iorg is the best place to learn everything about MCAT. We provide 12 hours of free production for local area nonprofits. We do orientation every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. You can call us at 542-6228, or you can email us mcat@mcat.org. So it is a great resource for anybody who's looking to get into television media. But that pretty much does it for everything that you need to know about MCAT and the City of Missoula. I have a new Dubbin Stuff for you guys, and then when I come back, I'm going to talk about all the events that are hitting you hard for the next couple days.
1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi,
I've been thinking lately,
9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi,
maybe
11 Mississippi,
I could
12
watch...
Mississippi. You made me lose count.
Can I watch TV instead of watching you comb your hair?
12,
it's kind of annoying.
30, I think I was at like 20 Mississippi. Okay, 21.
Sorry, honey. It's just a little TV. This hotel has HBO, you know. Never mind. I'll let you go back to brushing your hair.
So what you're trying to say is that you don't want to watch me brush my hair?
No.
What is it? You just want to watch TV?
I just don't want to watch you brush your hair anymore.
Like ever?
I'm afraid so, my dear. It's just that hairbrushing night has lost its luster, and
Oh, that was one of the few reasons you married me.
Oh, yes. But marriage is more than just watching your partner brush their hair.
I can't believe you. I am utterly sickened by the words that are coming out of your mouth. I see how it is.
Uh-oh, she sees how it is.
Well, I guess putting a ring on it has turned into lemonade, hasn't it? Huh? I'll go brush my hair to somebody else. I'm sure they'll enjoy me brushing my hair.
Well, at least give you one more whip.
How is that? And if you forget about the nay-nay, I'll find a man who knows how to appreciate it. Huh. And slam.
Oh, crap. I just realized this hotel doesn't have a TV. Alright. Let me see here. Gotta be extra quiet. Phones back in the day were really loud. Alright, let's do this thing. Shira, give me strength. Do.
I'm taking off my pantyhose, but you don't get to see it. Nyah!
7, 6, 24, 13.
Now I'm going into my nightgown.
Old phones take forever.
It is fabulous.
5,
It's so shiny and colorful.
12.
But it's black
blue.
and white, so you won't even notice.
Hello? Who is this?
I have put curls in my hair now.
Hello? Hello? Who's on the phone? Who is it? Who is it? Who is this?
I just wanted to watch TV, but not all this.
If no one
Not all
answers in
this.
the next 2 minutes, I will hang
Why
up.
am I so sensitive?
Hello? Hello? I'm wondering who's calling. Is the dentist gentleman calling? Is it my grandchildren? Oh wait, I don't have grandchildren. How old am I?
Well, there you go. You got the second half of Dubbin Stuff. My bad. I was not paying attention. I was like watching it from the computer. But okay, let's talk about some events that are happening in the city of Missoula. Kicking off with your typical mornings here in Missoula. They got a Roots Acro Sports Center, Missoula Gymnastics, and Missoula Indoor Sports Arena. It's a good way just to, have your kids play in an indoor environment with some padding and stuff. If your kid is young, just, like you're afraid they might get hurt, it's a good way for them to get active in a safe, padded environment type deal. Tiny Tales is going to happen in Power Place. Kids get to learn to read, and this is from ages birth to about when they go to preschool, pretty much. Story time at Frenchtown Library. They usually do this at the Missoula Public Library. This is sponsored, but this is their outreach to go out and do it in other libraries as well. Missoula Public Library hosts Makerspace around 10 a.m. and they go until about noon. They usually have a class geared towards their Makerspace activities, and then they go back to doing their regular open hours in Makerspace from 2 to 6 p.m. Spectrum Discovery Center is doing a astronomy starting at 11 a.m. and then big box stories at 3 p.m. Scrabble and Bridge kicking off your lunchtime with some Scrabble and Bridge at Missoula Senior Center. Middle School Writers Group. School has just started, and if you want to improve some of the writing skills of some of your kids, you can you can have your kids do this every Wednesday from 3:30 to 5 p.m. And this is for kids in the middle school aged grades 6 through 9. Weekly All Abilities Yoga. This is a fun and informal weekly yoga class held at Base, which is at 725 West Alder Street, and this happens from 4:15 to 5:30. And this is for anybody who's just like, I want to see what yoga is all about. So wear loose clothing, all ages, all abilities welcome. So basically, just kind of wear sweatpants. Socrates Cafe happens in Missoula Public Library. Missoula Public Library hosts this monthly event that happens where people get to talk about philosophy and whether or not, and to justify the might isn't always right. And that happens from 6 to 8 p.m. in the boardroom at Missoula Public Library. Thursday, they're learning about Excel at Missoula Public Library starting at 12 noon. So if you put Excel on your resume, you can justify it by taking this Excel class. ULA Downtown Dance Collective is doing a $5 fitness thing for this nonprofit. This happens from 10:15 to about 11:15 a.m. On Saturdays, but of course Monday, Thursday, noon to 1 p.m. ULA is an inspiring and super fun dance workout. ULA offers a perfect balance between hip and hippie with a structured, easy-to-follow, fun choreography. Predator feeding at the Missoula Insectarium happening at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon. They'll be feeding a cricket to one of the hungry predators every Thursday around 3:30 p.m. And then you get to see how they demonstrate and how they consume and capture their prey. Come see who is hungry today. Lego Club is happening at the Missoula Public Library as well at 3:30. This usually goes until about 5. So if you want your kids to go down the street, watch a bug being eaten by a bigger bug, then you can walk on down to the Missoula Public Library and play with Legos. This is a good way, and this is any kid who's under 12 must be with an adult. Volunteer Orientation for Guts. YWCA, Girls Using Their Strength, is an organization that is looking for volunteers, particularly females, to facilitate weekly guts groups for girls ages 9 to 13 years of age. And you can attend this volunteer orientation to learn more information. Guts training, Wednesday, September 12th, 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. So it's going to be interesting, and it's a really fun thing to do. And this is a way for it's a orientation, and I think this is really important for the Missoula County area. Gallery talks with Mary Ann Bongiorni, Missoula Museum of Art and Culture, which is at the University of Montana. It's at the Part TV building, and this is happening from 5:15 to 6:15. UN Professor of Art Drawing Mary Ann Bongiorni presents a gallery talk in conjunction with the exhibit Horse Malloy Gallery at the Part TV building. So they'll be talking with the artist and the professor. A professor of art at the University of Montana will happen at 5:15 Thursday. You can check it out. It's gonna be great. The Socialist Union, with a pun with the words socialize and swap ideas in the classroom space between 6 and 9 p.m. This is at the Confident Stitch. This is a free drop-in group, no registration necessary. Bring whatever you're working on and have fun with sewing people. With socialists, as they like to be called. Mindful community conversation, healing racism. You can only heal racism by going on to this event tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. And they're going to be at the Open Mindful Center. It's an evening and free and open to attend. It starts at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be meditation for about 10 minutes, speaker for about 30 minutes, and then they're going to have sharing some questions. But when you're done with that, if you're interested in having a good laugh or maybe laughing at people, Homegrown Comedy is happening at the Union Club, starting at 9:30 p.m. Sign-ups begin at 9. And yeah, it's a great way to experience the laughter. So if you want to laugh, Union Club's the place to be Thursday night. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Thanks, you guys, for joining me. I want to thank Susan Campbell Reneau for joining me. Be sure to join her and a bunch of other veterans and officials this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Rose Memorial Park to remember all those who we lost from 9/11. So, without further ado, I want to thank you guys for joining me and for Wake Up Missoula. I'm Scott Ramp. I'll have more show for you guys on Friday, and including some city council reports. So stay with me.